Well, 74 million people voted for Donald Trump in this country, and we had the President of the United States in front of Independence Hall shaking his fist under red light saying, you're not human. Basically, you're semi-fascist. You're not human. You've got to be removed from our system. This is the problem of economic warfare, especially domestic economic warfare, where you can be dehumanized by being removed from the economic system. That's why we need alternatives. And we have Nick Vujicic and Betsy Gray here talking about an idea God gave you all for a pro-life bank that will not dehumanize people, that will recognize individuals, and it will validate their right to participate in our free market economy.
Correct, and everyone's going to be a customer of Pro-Life Bank Proposed. We're going to accept everyone as a customer, and we're never going to cancel anyone unless there's some judiciary unlawfulness within the account that is proven then therein. However, we will see God's righteousness of stewardship according to biblical principle and values, that we know that God enjoys life and all of life, that every baby is valuable, and that life begins at conception. So therein, the stewardship of the profits will be philanthropically given towards biblically aligned nonprofit organizations.
Well, let me ask, are you going to be welcoming to people? What if somebody's pro-choice and wants to open an account with you? Will you take their account?
We will open an account for anyone. They don't have to agree with us because we're going to be probably the best bank ever. So everyone is going to want to bank with us. So they just have to know that philanthropically, we will be supporting things that uphold godly principles. And if that's something they're not aligned with, they can choose another bank.
I don't think most people realize that their bank is anti-life. I think that's news to the average. It was news to you, and you were in the pro-life business.
Well, and that's what's so fascinating about the grace of God, is he was mentioning our job of having to market that very point, and yet it's been done by them themselves, advertising that they want to pay for travel and abortion of all their employees. And so I think it's becoming crystal clear where they stand.
But it wasn't even imagined.
No, it wasn't.
How dehumanizing is it to realize that your bank won't tell you why, you're just not welcome here? That's like an Orwell novel.
Look, first of all, we know that next year the term domestic terrorist is going to be on the list of the lips of everybody and the tongues. That's what they're going to call us, domestic terrorists. If you don't line up with what we say, you're a domestic terrorist and you're a threat to society. But there are enough of us like you, and as we all know, some people of the remnant who say, you know what, if that's what Chase is doing and they're funding their employees' abortion, this is my insurance company and we'll actually pay for the adoption of the baby for someone else. So there is an equal reaction on that for those of us who do have that courage and knowledge. Look, it's not about dehumanization. It is. However, it's really, Kevin, principalities and powers of darkness, where we're in this dominion called earth that's ruled by Satan himself. And so when we understand the spiritual realms and we know why we're here and we know what we need to do while we are here, Kevin, I've had a spying drone at my house. I've had a grenade at my home. I got kicked out of a bank. I had a lawsuit threat from overseas and costed me $120,000 to defend myself. And I was found not guilty, of course, not going to get the money back, and so on and so forth. You know how it is when you're on the spotlight. Listen, when you get in front of the gates of hell and redirect traffic, it gets hot. And that's kind of why I'm like, we need to start telling the church as well, the pastors, will you grow a spine? Generally, not all the churches. Some churches have a spine. But let me tell you, it's kind of like frustrating, but at the same time, heavily stewarded here between us to say, church, wake up. It's interesting, Kevin, and ironic that God's going to use a man without arms and legs to be his hands and feet and tell the crippled church, wake up. I really feel this is the time for us to wake up to talk about the national security border. That's not political, that's moral. Because of the no border in Texas, human trafficking, 400%, pro-life, foster and adoption is not being talked enough in the churches. Human trafficking is not, PTSD from abortion, it's not being talked about on the church. And as an evangelist, I feel responsible to correct the church in humility and all sincerity and righteousness. And this is part of your financial stewardship. It's God's wealth. What is the enemy doing because of our lack of choice in where we bank?
You know, we call it weaponizing your money. I think every Christian has a responsibility to use their money as a weapon, as a tool. It is not an end in itself. It's not something we need to pile up money. It is a tool God has given us, and we need to, our spending, our giving, and our investing all need to be used for the glory of God and for His kingdom.